Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes, a Bachelor Nation podcast. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy. We're recapping Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, yeah! That's the worst Will John impression of all time. But here we are, Christy. It's week 6, probably. I think.
Who knows what week it is?
We're all off track because for so long there were 2 episodes a week and now there isn't, and so there's all sorts of confusion. But I think this is week 6, and we have another episode.
Yeah, we had an episode.
Yes.
Stuff happened.
Stuff happened, as it always does. Okay, are we done?
Sure, we can just end it here.
Look, sometimes I've heard that some people like shorter podcasts, so that would put it about a minute with intro and outro. So no, we can talk about everything that happened, even though yet again I was traumatized.
Yeah, if you thought the whipped cream on the toe was bad, just wait.
Yeah. And if you thought you had trauma from your childhood, just wait until the trauma inflicted upon you in this episode.
Yes, that did happen as well. But we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. So where would you like to start?
Well, I guess one point of clarification from the episode. So watching the whole Tia storyline at the end of the episode, I kind of didn't really understand what was going on, like why she was so angry with Blake, and I feel like they gave her a bit of an unfair edit based on what she put on social media after the episode, because what set her off is that Thomas walked by with a tray of chicken nuggets for Becca with like pics of their dogs or some sort of setup like that, and Blake told her, I'm not going to set up anything for you, right? You should know how I feel about you. All that stuff other guys do is fake for TV.
And so her lady parts didn't like that?
No, and so that kind of explains why she was so, like, upset with him, and he kept being like, well, you should know, like, I keep telling you, but I kind of feel like they have a mismatch of, like, love languages here. It's like she wants gifts or maybe acts of service, and he wants to just do like words of affirmation maybe, and so I don't think that's going to end well.
Yeah, I suspect a certain someone is going to be roseless.
I don't think he's making it through.
Yeah, because their last interactions that we saw were not the most positive.
No, and yeah, they showed her like going back to James, so
one of the people who you kind of wonder, what is he still doing here?
I know he's done quite well for himself considering he hasn't had much of romantic prospects. He's just been floating along. And just providing good commentary, and I don't know,
just living his best life. He's not going to be engaged at the end of this, but he's just having a good old time.
But yeah, that's all I had for social media stuff.
Thank you for the context. I appreciate it. So yeah, please go ahead.
I was just going to say we pick back up with, I always forget, like, when the episode ends the week before, we jump right back into, like, Joe and Serena making out and Kendall watching.
It's like this Groundhog Day loop where it's always, here we are, back in paradise, and Joe and Serena are making out.
Yeah, they kind of backtracked a bit, so we literally saw footage that we saw last week.
Which really irritates me.
Yes.
I have to pay really close attention to the sepia tones to make sure I don't double count kisses.
So she eventually goes and chats with Wells at the bar, and actually, there's like a shot where you can actually see Joe and Serena like canoodling further back on the beach behind her. Oh, so like once again, I don't understand why she came to Paradise in the first place. Like there was even an article somebody pulled up where she talked to a magazine like before Paradise, talking about how hard it would be to see Joe with somebody else, and yet she still went.
Christy, it's all about the followers.
I know, but she seems so miserable.
But it's all for the followers. Gotta get those followers, whether you're miserable or not.
Well, I hope it was worth it.
I don't think it was. I haven't seen what the stats are regarding her social media increases or decreases, but I don't know. I don't know if you've seen any of that. If you know if anything has positively happened in her life.
I have not checked her social media at all. I'm assuming, since I haven't seen anything published about it, that it's not too much of a difference either way.
Well, bummer for Kendall. And bummer for the rest of us because we had to watch it.
Yeah, she eventually chats with Joe, and it just kind of seems like sort of a repeat of the conversation they had earlier. I don't know. Nothing much came from this.
No, there really was no resolution or progress besides the fact that she just decided to leave.
Yeah, she gives him a really long hug and says, I feel like I shouldn't have come, which is correct. Oh, there was the one thing, though, where she asked Joe, why did he come? And he says it's because he knew it was over between them.
Oof.
Which was
Oof
bit
for
of
Kendall.
a gut punch.
Ouch. R.I.P. Kendall.
Yeah, we see her saying goodbye to Ivan, who I guess they had been talking a bit, and Ivan is now regretting giving his rose to Kendall at the last rose ceremony.
Yeah, he's really feeling like a big old poopy pants and dum-dum. Giving his rose to somebody who's going to self-eliminate before she can give him a rose? Oh, it's a disaster.
Yeah, I'm always puzzled when people self-eliminate. Like, if you came for the followers, why are you leaving so soon?
Because, Christy, it's a very emotional time, okay? It's a very tough time. And sometimes you have to make the choices that are going to be the best for you and, allow you to practice effective self-care.
Oh, okay, so now it's okay for her to do that.
Man.
I mean, it probably was time for her to go.
I agree.
So first, go ahead.
I was going to say, and if you don't want to move on just yet, that's fine. But I was going to make a comment and say, I feel like not only has the host quality taken a nosedive since Spade, I feel like also the time that the hosts have been involved has also gone down. I don't know if you
yes,
think that that's accurate.
Yeah,
like
we've
you
barely
literally
seen
just
any
like
of him.
just like see them for like 1.5 seconds and then never again.
Yeah, even like this little scene with Little John the next day where he's like, oh, I'm bringing 2 new people to the beach. I'm about to shake things up or whatever verbiage he used. Like, we didn't need that. We could have just had DeMar and Ed just walk down like everybody else.
Well, yeah, right, because he didn't even show him briefly interview them like Spade did, and maybe that's just because they don't have time for that sort of thing when they didn't have any other content at the in the very first episode. Maybe that influences it.
Yeah, I feel like you can tell that Lil Jon knows absolutely nothing about the Bachelor franchise.
Oh yeah.
I mean, unlike David Spade, who knows the people and was doing little recaps on Instagram after the episodes, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, David Spade is someone who exists in a similar universe in terms of what, obviously, like you said, doing little recaps and stuff, but also as somebody who exists quite proficiently on social media.
Mm-hmm.
He's very much somebody who works well with this. And it's well, what the heck does whatever his face is from NSYNC?
Lance Bass.
Yeah, Lance Bass.
He was okay, but then when it got to Titus, it was oh no.
We need hosts who understand Bachelor Nation and understand our unique struggles and the triumphs that come with it, okay? Random people is not good enough, okay? I cannot believe I've come to a point in my life where I'm saying I rather would have had Chris Harrison instead of Lance Bass.
Don't say that. Oh,
I said it.
Man.
Will my career survive this day? I do not know. But I said it.
Yeah, they need to rework this for next season.
Yes.
So Ed asked Natasha on the date, and then Damar asked Chelsea.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything we need to know about these two jokers?
So Damar didn't make too much of an impact on Tayshia's season. Ed, on the other hand, was edited as the joke character. Kind of there was this one scene where, you know how sometimes one of the contestants will leave the rest of the group and go knock on the lead's door to spend more time with them late at night. Well, they showed Ed just walking through the resort and oh, he finally found Tayshia's room, knocks on the door, and it's Chris Harrison's room. And so the two of them are just sitting in Chris Harrison's hotel room, just sipping wine. It was this sort of scripted, awkward scene. So that's the kind of edit he got.
Unbelievable. Yes, just a wonderful date. And double
yeah,
date.
They're just painting each other, but the men are basically just wearing underwear.
Because it's paradise.
Slightly awkward.
Well, didn't appear to be that way for them.
No, they started making out. If you had gave me a list of all the people appearing in Paradise, I never would have put these two together. Ever. So this was very surprising.
Well, as everyone keeps saying, Natasha just deserves it. She's had a real rough time. She just deserves a chance at love. And particularly, Joe, let's be real. Joe is somebody I have no high opinion of.
Dr. Joe?
Mm-hmm.
I love people like him.
I love Grocery Man Joe. Okay. I don't like Dr. Joe.
Yeah, Dr. Joe didn't come off very well last week with the whole My Brendan thing.
No, he did not. And then this episode, too, he sort of starts pulling that Connor thing where it's just attractive man goes and mopes by the seaside playing his small stringed instrument.
Yeah, I don't know why that keeps happening.
Like playing the ukulele is not a personality.
Well, maybe in paradise it is.
Disagree. Strongly disagree. Yeah, there were way too many like leaves over private areas this episode for my personal taste.
Speaking of which,
wait,
Kenny,
are we? Yeah, I guess that is next, isn't it?
Yeah, Kenny gets a date card. Of course, takes Mari, and like they show up to this like kitchen area with a chef, and I thought, oh, cool, they're gonna have like a cooking class. That's a good date. But I was wrong. They are going to be eating food off of each other. And just like basically the worst food you could be eating off of each other. So like they each like take turns doing this. Like meanwhile, the chef lady is standing there for the whole experience. Just like keep that in mind. So I think we started with Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny was the buffet first, I guess.
Yeah, he comes out wearing nothing basically, but like holding a leaf over himself. And like, so she puts tortillas and toppings for like, I don't know, tacos or whatever. Like,
yeah, there's
all
like
over
little
his
tacos,
chest.
yeah.
And like the sour cream gets rubbed all over his legs and chest. And it was so gross.
I didn't think that something was gonna surpass the toe.
Yeah, but something about that white sour cream, all liquidy, just being smeared everywhere was just a real turn off.
Christy did not like that.
No. And then next it was Mari's turn, and it's basically the same thing. Like,
yes, though, I will say, like, so this is happening, right? So she comes out and she like has leaves over the strategic areas, right? But he puts like tortillas directly on her breasts, and this like little Mexican lady is just standing there looking at them, and he like takes this taco off of her and like is feeding the taco to her, and so Mari's just laying there like completely exposed, like just breasts like hanging in the wind.
Yeah,
and
the
little
leaves
Mexican
are gone.
lady, yeah, right. The leaves are completely gone. And this little Mexican lady is just standing there, like looking at them, like so incredibly awkward.
Oh, it was, man. Yeah, she had sour cream all over her. Like, Kenny was very happy and pleased with the way this went.
Of course he is.
I don't understand what the deal is with all these food dates. Like, remember when Matt and Michelle like rubbed butter all over themselves and had that oatmeal bath? Like, none of that looks good on
milk
TV.
bath, actually, I think.
Yeah, it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just stuff like all of the people across history who are like, Hollywood is ruining everything. They were right, okay? Because I don't care what people do privately, but this was just too far.
I know, especially with somebody just standing there watching. That's the part that really took it over the edge for me.
Yeah, I just, oh man. Yeah, I would have to. Again, I don't know why we're lingering here. We really shouldn't, though. There really isn't that much content for this episode, which I think is a big reason. But I was particularly disturbed, like you were, at the whipped cream, because that just like That's just a bridge too far.
You mean last week?
No, I mean like. So I'm not talking. I'm sorry. I mean the sour cream.
Oh,
Like on the legs. Because like maybe it's a little bit better because like presumably, you go to paradise, you prepare to go to paradise, and you just like rub nair all over your body or whatever it is that like the is it what is the term where you just like remove all the hair on your body?
laser hair removal.
No. Like the general term is like epilation, maybe.
I don't know.
So like maybe it wasn't quite as gross as it could be, but like, can you just imagine like having someone laying there and they have like hairy legs and you're just like rubbing sour cream through the hair in their legs, and then you're like trying to like eat that? It's so gross.
Yeah, I didn't understand the legs part for either one of them.
Just
And like they must have like gotten cleaned up after that, because like later they like reappear wearing their clothes they were before. And
yeah,
they
I'm
look
sure.
normal.
I'm
Was
sure
there a shower there
I'm sure. Yeah.
at the restaurant?
It's a resort. There are showers everywhere. Or maybe they just didn't care. Just like how they didn't care, like what's her face, Marissa and Riley didn't care that he had been like walking around on Poop Beach. like also, so I'm sorry to go back to this, but like the toes were obviously incredibly gross, but also like you like put the sour cream like on her breast, like her chest, like between her cleavage. Like that couldn't have been like, that must have been nasty too. Like you're just out in
all sweaty
you're just
in
out
there.
in the sun, all sweaty. Like maybe like you may like you have like sour, like not sour cream, but whipped cream like mixed with deodorant, like
Yeah, or like sunscreen probably.
Yeah. In conclusion, Christy and I are incredibly disturbed.
Yes. I spent so much time just laughing at it because it was so insane.
My word. Well, please, let's move on. I beg you.
Yes.
We may have a super short episode, but it's okay. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yes. We see James setting up a mini date for Tia with like a traffic light and Manhattan skyline painting. I think that's what that was.
So romantic.
No, that'll come back into play later. I feel like that's kind of the only reason they showed that little thing.
Mm-hmm.
We learned Tia's from Weiner, Arkansas. And I'm not making that up.
Hilarious. It's both hilarious because it's a food joke, but also it's a dirty joke for the non-PG segment of our audience.
Mm-hmm. Dual purpose.
Yeah, I don't know, it was just kind of funny to me because she is so conflicted.
Yes,
she likes James, but like he doesn't make her dance
or tingle.
I can't believe these are conversations we're having to have. This is stuff that happened on the show.
Hey, she chose to say it.
I know.
Apparently, she doesn't mind people talking about it.
No, it's just that, right? It's just the context, right? It's like what are we supposed to do as podcasting professionals? We're trying to build our base. We're trying to build our audience. We don't want to just go off the deep end and be talking about genitals all the time. And then all this weird stuff happens.
Well, the show already went off the deep end, so we can dip our toes in slightly.
Ugh. I'm so sorry, everyone.
So then at this point, we go back to the second part of Kenny and Mari's date. Now they have their clothes back on. And
thank the Lord.
I just had a thought here, like, What would this show be like if for like one episode nobody had any alcohol?
It would be way more boring.
I mean, how would people start a date? Because they always start off with this like cheesy cheers. I feel like they wouldn't know what to talk about if they didn't have alcohol.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's called social lubricant for a reason. It's to like remove inhibitions so that you can slobber on somebody's crab, encrusted big toe. Would she have been willing to do that had she been more sober? I don't know. Did she regret it later? I also don't know.
I will never forget that.
I wish I could. Yeah, there is. Yeah, of course. I mean, they're going to be constantly drinking here because one, as I mentioned, like the social lubrication, and then also like, is there really that much to do? Either.
No. I mean, I kind of wonder, without the alcohol, would we see all these? I'm falling in love.
I don't know,
falling in love too.
But why couldn't we have like a little less alcohol and a little more like board games?
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
Like why? Like what if instead of all this nonsense, we have like a big Axis and Allies game that takes a couple weeks, and whoever wins gets to go on dates.
They should. There used to be a show called Bachelor Pad, which was, instead of like engagements at the end, it was like a money prize. And so they used to have like games they would play, and I wish they would like incorporate games into this show.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like like Survivor does games.
Yeah,
obviously.
The games were much more lame, though.
Are you on board with much more lame?
Yeah, I would take any game over yet another conversation about, I really want to get to know you better.
Christy is dissatisfied, ABC. Time to make some changes.
Yeah, I would like that. So yeah, they end their little date by saying it's time to get the real dessert, and they head to the boom boom room.
That, kids, is code for sexual intercourse. Yay.
So
only like time 17,000 that Kenny has been to the boom boom room this season.
I know, he spent most of his time in there probably.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, hopefully we never have to talk about them ever again this episode.
Yeah, next is Riley and Marissa, and this like whole episode she's been like wanting him to open up more. And
yeah, why can't he talk to her, Christy? Why can't he share his feelings? Yes, he's gorgeous. Yes, he's a hunk. Does he have muscles for days? Absolutely. Is there insane sexual chemistry? It goes without saying. But she wants to know the real him,
Yes.
Thank you for your comprehensive response.
I have they not been talking all this time? Like, I was always kind of confused with stuff like that, but maybe they've just been making out. But she wants to know why he's closed off, and then he starts talking about his dad and his family situation, which I feel like he talked about most of this on Tayshia's season, so I don't know if she watched that season or not, but it seems like this is the first she's hearing it.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So they eventually say they're falling in love with each other as well.
Just brings a tear to my eye, I love love.
Yeah, it's that point in the season where People
have succumbed enough to alcohol poisoning.
Yes, or producer encouragement. Because we can't get to the end with an engagement without having the sequence of falling in love to I am in love with you.
Has there ever been a Bachelor in Paradise season with no engagements?
No.
Okay.
Not that I can remember, at least. Maybe like the first season. I don't remember what happened the first season, but certainly season 2 onwards.
Okay.
And usually there's multiple.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there were multiple here. I mean, I guess we'll have to see. It seemed like next episode's gonna be pretty tumultuous.
Yeah, it looked like Kenny and Mari have some troubles coming.
Oh boy.
So it's now the next day, and the producers tell everyone there's a storm coming and they have to evacuate. And then we have got all these like ITMs with the contestants like, oh, we never know.
Oh, all this time, we may never see. I may never see her again. Oh,
It was so overdramatic, and like somebody on social media pointed out, like it's not like they were in any real physical danger. Like the production company is going to make sure that doesn't happen.
well, yeah. I mean, ABC has insured all of them for sure.
Yeah. And like one commercial break and we come back and oh, it's all over.
Oh wow, it's like the last 5 minutes was a complete waste of time.
Yeah, and so I guess because of the time they lost, they do the cocktail party like in the middle of the day, which is very strange.
Well, can I also say before this too that like, right, you have all this chaos, you have all these people freaking out, you have all this like, oh, get to the vans, get to the vans, get to the vans, and then you just see like Joe and Serena P just standing in a corner, just full out making out.
I know. Hey, this could be their last kiss.
I know. So, here's a question for you. Do you think, and again, it's utterly ridiculous to think that this would have happened, because of course they play things up. But if somebody had actually died,
oh dear,
would they have been able to keep that secret?
No. How are you gonna have a show with one of the contestants not come back and that not get out?
I don't know. Look, I'm just curious.
No, I don't think there's ever been in the history of the show a contestant that died on set.
Okay.
At least as far as I know.
You know, maybe there have been a couple and they just completely scrubbed them from the timeline.
Let's hope not.
they just frame by frame remove them from every single shot they've appeared in. Yes, thankfully everyone survived. It was fine. But you know, I guess we get back to the Tia love triangle.
Yeah, one note before that, we had this line from Noah talking about Abigail where he says, "We are right in the middle of something potentially really good."
I know. I laughed so hard at that. What an immense amount of qualification.
Like he can't just come out and say, "Yeah, things are really going well." Yeah, so back to Tia and Blake. This is where we see the conversation we talked about earlier where inexplicably she wants him to do things for her and he's just like, why can't I just tell you and that be enough? And so now we have the context for that, and then we see her going over to James to thank him for those gifts he gave her earlier.
Oh boy. he may not make her lady bits tingle and dance, but he knows how to speak her language.
Yep, that might win out in the end. I guess we'll see next week.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah,
And
I was just
next,
going to say I was confused by what happened next.
yeah, we've got this weird triangle here with Aaron, Chelsea, and Ivan. So I guess Aaron and Chelsea have been paired up.
That is correct, yes. Because she went on the date with him initially when she arrived.
Yeah, that's true. And we see like Aaron doing this runway model impressions on the beach. And so it seems like things are great with them, but then Ivan goes to chat with Chelsea.
Because he is currently roseless and adrift.
Yes, he's just been floating along since Jasenia dumped him.
Oof.
And Chelsea at first says they are homies, but then it like transitions somehow and they end up making out right in front of Aaron.
Which is, I don't know how you feel about that. Like, how, as far as like terrible things you can do as a human being on The Bachelor in Paradise, like, where would you rank that?
It's pretty bad. Like, you could at least walk out of eyesight. Like, I don't know. It's just like literally there was a shot of like James and Aaron because they were sitting there, and literally in the same frame, you can see them doing it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. It's so bold. And of course, like Aaron is like always upset about something, and this just
well, you would be always upset if you just kept getting betrayed left and right.
It just seems like he's been irritated the entirety of Paradise.
He really has, though. The only time that he wasn't irritated was that brief window before Thomas showed up.
Oh yes,
that was the extent of his happiness.
Yeah, and Thomas has been here a while, so it's just been building for him.
Yeah.
So Aaron tries to confront Ivan, and
Ivan is clearly like terrified for his life.
Yeah, he's like refuses to walk over to him.
He's like, "What? Huh?" And he's like, "Come over here!" Ah!
Yeah, and they start like yelling in each other's faces, and yeah, this is like where it ends. It's like a to be continued. Like, are they gonna like throw punches? Is like the
are they gonna throw hands? Aaron continues his trend, and I forget the exact. Was it little bitch man?
Something like that. I don't remember.
Because he has a name for all of his nemesis. Thomas is big body trash can, right? And I guess now, what, or maybe it was like little bitch boy, possibly, like something like mean in his irritation. But yeah, they may get into a physical altercation, as the police would say.
And if that happens, they will both be leaving the show. Because that has happened in Paradise before, where people were throwing punches at each other.
Oh boy, and so that's like an automatic, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it wouldn't be a huge loss, as you said, and everyone, this is a direct quote. Ivan is missing that oomph. That is what Christy said about the situation.
Oh, I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
Look, we say some maybe not the most nice things that, as we're kind of making judgments about people's character and stuff. And of course, we're seeing what's presented to the camera. But I will say as well that I just don't think that some people are the right temperament for
For
this
TV.
show.
Yeah.
Well, for TV in general, but also for Bachelor or Bachelor in Paradise. Like, right, we were talking about this bit with Victoria, whatever her initial is, not the like kind of weird lady who was consulted by her medium, but
Queen Victoria?
Yeah, Queen and then Empress or whatever. How like she thrived really well in Bachelor because her personality was such that with a bit less kind of direct competition, she was able to carve out a space for herself. Whereas when you brought her to Bachelor in Paradise, she was kind of lost because she was no longer the only person with this kind of big personality, and so she wasn't able to go through the necessary, which is ironic given everything, but she wasn't able to go through the necessary transformation and rebirth, shall we say, to actually take enough initiative to do well in that environment where they're switching roses back and forth. And I think that a similar thing could be said of Ivan in that, like, he's probably a fine guy, but he's kind of too passive, at least what we've seen of him, in order to, like, really take advantage of this. Like, you need to be able to, like, constantly be on the ball and communicating with people and whatnot. Because if you're not in a committed relationship, like, you're pretty much just, like, completely at the mercy of whatever is happening. And yeah, you may get kind of fortunate, as he has so far, where he's managed to survive this long, but yeah, it just is not the best recipe for success on this show, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not enough initiative from him.
Yeah.
So.
Because you really do need initiative here, because otherwise you're just dead in the water. And he's been fortunate that enough other drama has happened outside of himself and what's been going on with him that he's survived. But if all that other drama hadn't been going on, he probably would have been gone a while ago, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hopefully that was long-winded enough to give us some substantial episode length.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens next week with him.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, we had the tag scene where they see how many nuggets Mari can stuff in her mouth, which was just another gross food scene. It was 6, for the record.
We all wanted to know that. Why? That's all I gotta say. It's why. Well, we did have 28 kisses according to my count, which was pretty strong. Pretty strong showing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Again, why did I end up doing this? I don't know. But it's too late. It's too late now.
It is now your job.
Yeah. Just really irritating because I can't, like, browse Reddit or something while I'm watching the episodes.
Yeah, because you might miss one.
I know. That would be terrible. Yeah. Well, how can the good people of the world reach us, Christy?
You can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram.
Were you going to say something? I just wanted to mention that, yes, we will we will get back to you. In fact, just the other day, I had a spirited back and forth conversation with our faithful listener, Gabe, about whether or not Kendall resembled Keira Knightley. He disagrees, but I'm sticking to my guns. Her little, like, mouth, like, smirk thing. It's very similar.
Yeah, we welcome disagreement.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I love a good debate.
Yes, we love drama.
Well, we are watching the right show then.
Yes, so much drama. There will be many people crying next episode, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
And I, for one, am so ready for it.
Me too.
Especially if it means we don't have to see more people eating stuff off of each other.
Yes, let's let this episode be the end of that.
This has been Group Dates and Hot Takes, a Bachelor Nation podcast. I'm Sampy.
And I'm Christy. We'll talk to you next week.